Good evening. Welcome to tonight's devotional. We are going on with Jesus' parables as related in the Gospel of Matthew. We're in Matthew chapter 13, and we're going to be looking at two very, very brief parables that are meant to go together, just like the other night with the, the mustard seed and the yeast in the dough. So today we're looking at the parables of the hidden treasure and the pearl, verses 44 through 46. The kingdom of heaven is like treasure hidden in a field. When a man found it, he hid it again, and then in his joy went and sold all he had and bought that field. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant looking for fine pearls. When he found one of great value, he went away and sold everything he had and bought it. This is the pearl of great price, if you will. So what we're looking at here are two parables. And once again, I want to be clear that a parable is different from an allegory. An allegory has every single component has a different symbolic meaning. It's not the case with a parable. A parable is, well, if you think of a parabola to some degree, a parable is drawing a comparison, but it's not with every single detail. They're trying to tell you one major component or story. The kingdom of heaven is like treasure hidden in a field. So it's a treasure. It happens to be hidden in a field, and a man finds it. That field is not his. He does not own it. He has no rights to the treasure. So what does he do? Well, he hides the treasure again, and he goes and sells everything that he has and buys that field. Similarly, the merchant looking for fine pearls finds a pearl of great price, and he goes and sells everything that he has and comes back and buys that pearl. So, a couple of things to draw from this. Number one, the kingdom of heaven is a treasure that is worth more than everything else you have. And if you're not part of the kingdom of heaven, it's worth more than everything that you have. It's incredibly general, therefore all-inclusive, everything that you have. The man who sees the treasure in the field sells everything. The merchant who finds the pearl of great price sells everything. This is not accidental. In fact, this is why Christ says, if you do not lay down your life, you cannot find it. Until the kingdom of heaven is more important to you than your own kingdom on earth, you can't enter it. You can't afford it. Because the only price that the kingdom of heaven has is everything. You must be willing to give up your ownership of all that you have. Now, in these parables, obviously, it's primarily talking about monetary worth, things. But that's because the kingdom of heaven is being compared to a treasure, that which can be acquired with wealth. We know from the scriptures that that is not the case with the kingdom of heaven, that it is something of great value. It is, in fact, as pointed out in these parables, of greater value than all your monetary wealth. Now, that requires immense faith because you haven't seen it. There's a lot of scams going along today on the internet where they promise you a great deal or a great sale, or somebody on Facebook Marketplace promises you something and shows you a picture of it, and then you believe them and you send them money, and then they disappear off the planet, so to speak. Takes a lot of faith to be willing to give up everything for the kingdom of heaven. Most people I run into in the church don't view heaven as their pearl of great price. They view it as a means of acquiring more things. And that sounds rather petty, but track with me if you will. If I obey God, if I keep His commandments, if I do what He says, if I'm a good Christian, then my life will work out the way I want it to. Then my job will be there for me, and in fact I'll get a promotion and a raise, or I'll have a relationship with that significant other and it'll be like heaven on earth, and fill in the blank of whatever it is you want. Your children's success, happiness on this earth, lack of disease, health, all those sorts of things. And a lot of people view their Christian faith, their religion, as a means to those ends. It is not. You have no promise from God that this life will be full of sunshine, rainbows, and kittens. Now, proverbially, on average in general, if you obey God's rules and live His way in a society ruled by law, you will, on average, do better. You will have an increasing value. You will see that a good work ethic and an honest disposition to others will pay off, and that in general, the Christian life leads to profitability and wealth in this life, in general. But it's not a promise. It never has been. In fact, Christ promises us that in this world we will suffer, and that if this world hated Him whom we serve, how much more should we expect to suffer for Him as His servants? You're not promised that Christianity is a means to your greater happiness in this world. You are promised the next. Don't conflate the two. Many people do. Many people take the promises of the life to come and believe that they are supposed to apply to this life. But I don't understand why this happened. I've been reading my Bible and praying daily and tithing to the church and faithfully participating in ministry. Why did this happen to me? Well, because those two are unrelated. They have nothing to do with each other. And if they do in your own heart and mind, then you're not serving God. You're serving yourself through Him. That's not Christian faith. So, are you willing to sell everything you have in order to obtain the pearl of great price, the treasure hidden in the field, the kingdom of heaven? Are you willing to sell this life for the next? That's faith. It's not playing. It's not dressing up on a Sunday. It's none of that. It's this life for the next. It's that simple. May the God of both lives bless you and keep you. May He cause His face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. And may you be successful in loving Him more than your stuff, loving the next life more than this one, and using this life in order to gain entrance and wealth in the next. Thank you, and good night.